So here we go. Here is the final grid of the season for Junior Rotax in the Euro Trophy for 2022. Final one winner, Austin Lee, starts from pole position, and his JJ Racing teammate from the Netherlands, Casper Schormans, lines up alongside. Tommy van der Stroys and Gustav Zusakos will line up on row 2. Ahead of Maxim Suchurko from Lithuania and Mikkel Pedersen from Denmark. Alberto Kiko Fracassi and Leon Zelenko round out the top 4 rows. Completing the top 10, it's Enzo Boll and Scott Marsh, with Adam Krepsik, Max Cuthbert, Borluet, Thomas Rudokas, Dion van Verven, Maximilian Schreier, Martin Ernesto Varga, Vic Stevens, Georgios Kafantaris and Noah Janssen completing the top 20. Rounding out the grid, it's going to be Olivia Jonkers, Tino Sidler, Lotus Tveen, Jan Fischer, Aljas Vidmar and Sebastian Koch. So the red lights ignite on the starting gantry, and we are primed and ready. So they now start gearing up for the 2x2 Rotax style customary rolling start formation. Austin Lee in the previous race comfortably led and won by just under 3 seconds. Here we go, last final of the season, into the tram lines, revs rise, lights are out, we are underway. Schormans gets a great start ahead of Austin Lee, who instantly counters back through the exit of turn number 2 as they all squabble for traction. Going through turn 3 for the first time, as we've had a spinner, and that is Alberto Kiko Fracassi, and luckily he manages to stop the brakes, but he goes into the tyre barriers just on Marshall post number 3. Van der Stroy now down into 5th position as Austin Lee leads the field out of turn 6 into turn 7. All bumping over the curbs. And now Mikkel Pedersen ahead of Tommy van der Stroy. Maximilian Schreier has got Enzo Boll towards his immediate outside, and then the Dutchman switches to the inside of the 253 out of turn number 10 and has gotten through, but then Schreier gets on the inside. Mikkel Pedersen trying to close on in. That's Gustav Zusakovs in 3rd place, who sweeps wide, as does the Dane, as does Van der Stroy. Van der Stroy has got Maxim Suchurko to his immediate right-hand side, heading into turn number 13. And Van der Stroy now pulls the cart to the right-hand side, switches to the inside, going across the start-finish straight. Across the line we go. Austin Lee already has nearly a 1.2 second advantage after the opening lap. Casper Schormans, Gustav Zusakovs now going for 2nd position through turn number 4. The Latvian runs wide, the Dutchman gets through, back into 2nd place. Mikkel Pedersen now sitting in 4th position. Scott Marsh, however, is on the move, and he's currently up into 7th position. In front of him, he's got Tommy van der Stroy. Behind him is Max Cuthbert, then also Maximilian Schreier. Enzo Boll, currently sitting towards the back part of the top 10. The 5-second penalty has been issued to Casper Schormans. So that changes everything in terms of the permutations for 2nd and 3rd in the championship. Oh, a bit of a moment there for Maxim Suchurko through turn number 12. And not just Tommy van der Stroy, but Scott Marsh also gets through. So Austin Lee leads by just over a second. Scott Marsh trying to do his level best to keep pace with Tommy van der Sloijs. Now Maxim Sechurko has got past Max Cuthbert, who dives to the inside on both Sechurko and Marsh. Marsh gets through. Cuthbert defends against Sechurko, who slingshots up the inside through turn number 5. A bit of a moment there for Maximilian Schreier. There's people trying to get through. One of them trying to get through, but doesn't get past through turn 7. Is Enzo Bol. Schreier bumps over the curves, and Bol's going to send it up the inside through turn number 9. And he manages to control it, narrowly avoiding the side pod of Max Cuthbert. So Austin Lee continues to lead. This now puts Gustav Usakovs into a net second place. Mikkel Pedersen in 4th. Mikkel Pedersen was in 4th, will be 3rd. Tommy van der Sloijs, that makes him 4th. Enzo Bol now rounds out the top 9 positions, giving him 7 points at this moment. So 4 minutes completed, 7 still to go. Austin Lee's lead is just over 1.1 seconds ahead of Kasper Schürmanns. Enzo Bol is trying to catch up to Max Cuthbert to get himself up into another position. There's the 269 and the 270. That's Vic Stevens and Dion van Werven. The latter gets through. As the drivers hurtle their way across the start-finish line once again as we complete lap number 4. And on to lap 5 we go. Mikkel Pedersen is trying to keep ahead of Gustav Usakovs, and the Latvian is trying to really get through on the Dane and through into turn 6. Pedersen runs wide, Usakovs gets through. Now looks to his immediate left, switch back from Pedersen, who bumps over the curbs. That slows his momentum, and van der Sloijs was looking around the outside of him through turn 7. Now that's allowed Scott Marsh to get through. Marsh gets through, Sechurko's in the mix. And now, that's very, very close indeed. Marsh runs deep coming out of turn 10. Van der Sloijs gets back through. Touch on the back bumper of Maxim Sechurko by Max Cuthbert, who switches to the outside of the Lithuanian. It rides on Scott Marsh, who's going to launch it, hits the hammer down hard and gets past the Lithuanian. Max Cuthbert now will dive on the inside. And Marsh keeps to the outside. Sideways for Sechurko, and there is Enzo Bol nearly making it three abreast, coming across the start-finish line and has to slot in behind the pair. That was a moment and a half through turn 14 for Maxim Sechurko, as we're well over half-time. There's Maximilian Schreier bumping over the curbs, trying to get through on Enzo Bol. And Enzo Bol will get the upper hand and gets through on the German, through into turn number 7. Max Cuthbert has now dropped down a couple of positions. Drivers still scrapping for traction, but Leon Zelenko seems to be getting on all right. Coming out, and Enzo Bol's dropped it on the exit of turn number 12. That looks to be possibly his hopes of 2nd or 3rd in the championship. Looks like 4th could be also under threat, as Austin Lee continues to lead by nearly a second and a half. On to lap number 7 of this race, and Austin Lee has calmly put in fastest laps. He's been running in the 1 minute 5.7s. Mikkel Pedersen still trying to get onto level terms with Gustav Usakovs. He gets through on turn 6, but the Latvian trying to get a counter-attack in the works. Unfortunately, nothing happening there. In the wet, sometimes it's about driving smarter, not faster. You've got to really pick your moments. and see if there is a gap, and you know that you've got 110% commitment and self-belief that you can make it through that gap, you will attempt it. And normally that will pay off. Tino Sidler embroiled in a battle with Vic Stevens for 16th position. There's now someone else has gone off, and that is Gustav Zusakovs. That's going to mean that Scott Marsh is going to go up the inside of his teammate through turn 13. Tommy van der Stroys, in the meantime, has also gotten through. And Enzo Boll has now dropped out of the top 10, currently sitting in 11th place. So with just 2 3/4 minutes to go, Austin Lee's lead is just over 1.6 seconds. With a 5-second time penalty coming the young Dutchman's way, that is going to change quite a few things, because that will put Tommy van der Stroys into 3rd place, Scott Marsh into 4th, but obviously they've got to make sure that those hopefully that they've kept due care and attention towards their front fairings, as now Socherko gets past Usakovs. That'll be for 6th on the road. But because it being so tight at the front of the field from around 4th backwards, any front fairing penalty will compromise them in terms of point scoring. Hand signals from the gantry just overlooking turn number 3. And signal to the drivers. With 1 minute and 30 to go, 2nd and 3rd in the championship might very well be secure. Socherko now launches it up the inside of Scott Marsh. Scott Marsh trying to get the cut back. But on this particular occasion, he decides not to go for it. Gustav Zusakovs is behind his teammate from Dan Holland Racing. Kasper Schurman's in the meantime, did set the fastest lap of the race until the 3rd place driver, Mikkel Pedersen, put one through. 1 minute 5.482 seconds. So the more gap that Kasper Schurman gets between himself and Mikkel Pedersen, the higher up the order he will be and the more points he will score. Picked up 20 in the previous race, currently sitting in 2nd position. That could be possibly 40 points in the bag for the young Dutchman. He was the winner of the weekend back at Kaupen for the recent round of the Belgian Max Challenge. .15 seconds to go. It could be a very, very tight order in terms of will we have the last lap board out this time. Austin Lee makes his way out of turn number 13 and through the final corner. It's going to be close. Last lap board is out on cue as he crosses the line. So Austin Lee had a bit of a good start in the earlier part of the season, a 5th, 2 4ths, but then the 2nd race at Val d'Argenton, a difficult weekend at Marienburg, but here in Germany, youngster whose roots are very much from America, in Portland, Oregon, but now living here in Germany, going to school here as well. This has become one of his home tracks. So he makes his way through turn number 9 for what's going to be the last time. So after this one, it's 2 more corners remaining. Austin Lee has been coached by a man known in karting circles, Mr. Ed Brand, who I managed to catch up with this weekend. But the checkered flag is going to wave goodbye to the junior Rotax season, as it's a double victory for the 272. Austin Lee does the double here on home soil in Germany, winning by 1.4 seconds ahead of Kasper Schurman's. With Mikkel Pedersen, I think that maybe second in the championship. This might, I'm going to say this on an approximation, provisionally saying that Tommy van der Stroys might be your 2022 vice champion. Maxim Sichurko takes 5th position ahead of Scott Marsh, with Gustav Zusakov's Maximilian Schreier finishing in 8th, Boluet and Leon Zelenko rounding out the top 10. I think with his efforts this weekend, Austin Lee might have just wrapped up 4th in the title standings, but we'll wait for confirmation of that. Rounding out the order, it was Enzo Bol, followed by Adam Krepsik, Alberto Kiko Fracassi, who recovered well from that moment going into turn 4, where he ended up backwards into the tyre barriers off of Marshall post number 3. Dion van Verven and Max Cuthbert ran at the top 15, with Tino Sidler, Georgios Kafantaris, Vic Stevens, Martin Ernesto Varga and Aljas Vidmar rounding out the top 20. Thomas Rudorkas, Leandro Fischer, Noah Janssen, Olivier Jonkers and Lotus Fien ran out the 25 that finished all 11 laps. And unfortunately on lap number 7, we lost Belgium's Sebastian Koch in the 2-2-3.